Hi, everybody. Earth here with another episode of the Cryptopolitan podcast. And today we are going to have a guest on the cast, and his name is Terence. Terence, how are you?
Very good.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, let's dive right in. Why don't you tell us about your project? What are you working on? And like 50,000 foot level, what's it about so that even the newbies can understand?
Sure. So I'm the founder of Humanity Protocol. Um, we're building an identity focused blockchain. I think
Okay.
since 2017, the ICO days, um, a lot of people who are interested in the blockchain space think that identity is one of the key problems that blockchain is going to solve.
Agreed.
But for some, it's not really been materialized, right?
Hmm.
And we sort of think now is the time. Um, and what we're trying to do is essentially build natively integrated credentials onto blockchain so that we can verify things to be true. Okay.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, you know, right now when we think about not just the Web3 space, but we look at the Web2 space or even just the
Yeah.
offline world, um, AI is making it harder and harder to verify whether something is true or not.
Absolutely.
For what it's worth, this entire video could easily be, deep fake videos
Yeah.
generated by AI, right?
Right.
And so what we're trying to do is say, okay, you know what? How do we verify things? And the very first attribute that we want to verify with Humanity Protocol is what we call proof of humanity, which is to check whether you're a human being
Hmm.
to be right. Whether it's your deepfake videos or your voice generation with AI and 11 Labs and all that sort of stuff, or even just ChatGPT or DeepSeek generated content, it's
Right.
becoming harder and harder to differentiate what you see in the online world to be whether it's a real person um, or not. Right. And so that's why it's called Humanity Protocol. And we're starting with proof of humanity. But for
Hmm.
us, the vision is a lot bigger. What we want to be able to do is actually verify other attributes about people. And potentially down the road, even AI agents and different sort of entities. But to start, I want to be able to prove that you're a human being. But
Okay.
beyond that, I want to prove, for example, where you went to school, where you work,
Hmm.
um, your credit score, many
Those are
different sort of attributes. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say those are fantastic. I know a lot of people who, quote unquote, bought like fake Harvard degrees, right? So,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Fake Harvard degrees, or I have so many friends who hire people just to find out that their entire CV is a lie, their entire
right.
LinkedIn is a lie. Do you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, it costs nothing, right? Like for me to go register a new email account and sign up for a new LinkedIn and pretend to be a new person, that takes me, 3 minutes
Yes.
tops. Um, so yeah, so we're building Humanity Protocol to essentially promote truth, which we think
I love
is
it.
is important.
I love it. That's a great premise. So we were in Mongolia the other day, and this guy was showing us you can vote as many ideas, you can vote as many times as ideas that you have. And this one dude had like 13, and he can vote 13 times. I'm like, that's not right. So yeah, that's definitely a good usage for the blockchain system. So you were saying that it's useful for obviously proof of humanity, but I'm also looking at this from a KYC type of thing as well, right? If you have the protocol set up and KYC, because right now KYC is kind of a pain in the butt, right? So being able
KYC,
to do
I think KYC is a pain in the butt, but I think right now it's sort of the sort of best solution out there. I think
yeah,
a better solution would be, you sort of KYC once, and then you only release the sort of information that you kind of need, right? Like
that makes
some of the
sense.
DeFi protocols, as regulation comes on, there's not really a need to know who you are, where you live,
Hmm.
et cetera, or your birthday, right? Like I
Right.
kind of just want to know, are you 18 and above? Are you are you a national of a country that we want to support?
Yes.
Are you sanctioned? Or maybe, when it comes to RWA and enterprise DeFi, are you an accredited investor, right? Are
Right.
you, do you have a certain net worth and investment holdings and risk appetite, right? So, from our perspective, there are many use cases for the infrastructure that we're building.
Absolutely. For sure. Um, in terms of like government ID and that sort of thing, are you guys venturing into the path of that as well? Because, like, for
I think that
example,
I think that's going to be secondary. I think the
secondary.
idea is that down the road we're going to potentially work with governments to say, okay, you know what? In addition to sort of private sector credentials, why don't we have public sector credentials also issued on humanity? But I
That's pretty
think to start, that would be sort of an uphill battle if we were to just focus on targeting on that.
Well, chasing the truth as well. Um, for example, like industry credentials, like you were saying, that'd be pretty cool too, right? Being able to see, is this person really an engineer, or are they going to build this bridge that it's all gonna we're all
Is this
gonna
person really an engineer, or even like, you know what? Like, I've been dealing with because we're launching our mainnet and token soon. I
okay.
am getting bombarded with people who message me or people who work in our team saying, "Oh, I'm part of this exchange," or "I'm part
Hmm.
of this marketing agency," et cetera, right? On Telegram, and
How do you
how
know?
do you know? How do you know
Right.
that that person is real, right?
Oh, some rando is hitting you up on Discord. It could be shenanigans, right?
Exactly, right? So that's something we're trying to work through.
That's fantastic. Oh, that's a really cool project. So in terms of like builds for these sort of things, you're hunting down the humanity piece first, so proof of humanity, and then where do we go from there?
So proof of humanity, proof of employment, proof of education. I think those
Okay.
are sort of three kind of core things, right? Like sort of, you know, to start, figure out whether you're a human being to begin with,
Yes,
and
that's
then
a
where
good
you,
thing.
where you went to school, and then
Hmm.
where you work. I mean, I think the only thing that's probably just as important as that, or more important than that, is probably romance. But we're not doing that yet.
Okay. I get
So
it.
I
There's
think
there's a ton of romance scams. I get it, but yeah, yeah.
not even romance scams, right? Like, but the idea is like me saying, hey, you know what? I actually went to, Cambridge University when it's not true, or I
Right.
work for Google. It's not true, right? Like
Right.
it's not the easiest thing to deal with, right? And so these are some of the problems that we're solving. And I think, it's ultimately what we're trying to do is build sort of the world's largest open identity graph. When we think about
Fantastic.
sort of the Web2 companies, their biggest revenue sources historically is all about your data, right? The
Yes.
reason why Facebook or your Twitters and or Google's can make tens of billions of dollars a year is largely because they kind of know who you are, they know your interests, et cetera, right? So
Mm.
we kind of want to make sure this is privacy preserving, and you get to control this so that it's self-sovereign, right? And then we're building the infrastructure to enable this so that down the road, different sort of applications, maybe the next generation of the social media platform would be built on humanity so that you don't want people only choose to share whatever they want without having to reveal sort of everything about them. And then also making sure that whatever they are sharing is actually factually true.
That makes sense. So there's a couple of cool uses that just come to mind, right? I mean, because sometimes I do want some of my data out there so that if you are going to advertise to me, at least it's stuff I want to see, right? Like, you know, so some of that stuff makes sense, and then some of that makes sense also from like a privacy point of view, where I don't want everything I have out in the open, right? So certain things
Sure.
I don't want people to see. That makes sense. So what's on like on the project? What's most exciting for you right this minute? I guess
What's most,
mainnet or
we launched our testnet a couple months ago. We signed up around 4 million people. It's growing. Um, for the proof of humanity piece, we use biometrics. So we use a person's palm, their print, their veins, et cetera, et cetera. We have dedicated hardware. We're starting to roll out those devices. It's a little bit similar to WorldCoin, but I think it's a lot less intrusive.
Mm,
Um, that's going out, and then we're building a range of products in the enterprise side, whether it's targeting universities, targeting, companies, et cetera, for the purpose of proving things.
yeah, proof
Um,
proof proof
you
of
know,
work experience, proof of education, all that all the good stuff.
Exactly, right? And so a lot of these things are coming out over the next couple, weeks to months.
That is definitely exciting. That's a cool thing. I've been parts of like different blockchain groups for a while now, and you're absolutely right. Identity is a huge thing that they're trying to solve for, and a lot of these things, the big companies would pay good money for just to find out, because it's cheaper than to find out that the guy's a fake before they hire him, and then pay him a bajillion dollars and have a few projects go down the
Absolutely.
wayside, right? So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, well, I love it. Um, when you're not building the humanity protocol, I mean, I'm sure you step away from your desk once in a while. What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? I mean, I think work is pretty fun. Building all this stuff is pretty fun.
It's a
I
cool
travel.
project.
I travel quite a lot for. I travel quite a lot for work, for fun. The team is pretty distributed. We have people all the way from North America, South America, Europe, Asia, India, Africa, everywhere, right? And
Yeah.
so sort of hop around places. I attend conferences. I speak at some conferences. Um,
So you
now
still
it's winter.
you still enjoy the
Now
road? You still enjoy the road? You
I,
like
I
going to
I
conferences and
absolutely
stuff?
love the road. I mean, now it's winter, and so the northern hemisphere at least. I ski quite a fair bit.
Oh, nice.
Um, so that's sort of something that I tend to tune into calls and even podcasts and work meetings from many different places around the world.
That's fantastic. That's cool. So I'm glad you enjoy the winter and the snow, because obviously now it's your turn, right? So that's good.
Yeah, yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, with all this new stuff coming out, which is the platform of choice for people to have discussions and talk about this stuff on? Is it Discord? Is it Telegram? Where do people go and
We have a Discord. We have a Discord. I think we have like, I don't know, 500,000 people that's on it. In Telegram, we have quite a fair bit. Twitter, we have quite a fair bit. Twitter, Telegram, Discord, all of the above. Twitter, we're on Humanity Prot, like HUMANITYPROT.
okay,
On Telegram, if you search Humanity Protocol, I'm sure like
you'll find it.
the one is that same for Discord, right? I think the main thing is more and more people are becoming aware why something like this is necessary, right? Like when you look at sort of deep fakes that come out and you just really can't tell. I mean, right
Yeah,
now there's glitches here and there, some stuff doesn't make sense, but like given another 6 months, 12 months, you can't differentiate, right? At this point, AI generative voice is already indistinguishable. And then you look at sort of AI generated photos, can't tell.
mhm.
Text, impossible to tell. In fact, you would
Right.
argue the only way to tell that something is AI generated is because it's actually too good, right?
Right. I mean, they all pass the Turing test nowadays, right? Like I've seen a lot of the stuff out there for just even customer service. You have no idea it's not a human, right? But like you said, it's too perfect. It reads every manual and reads every last little thing. So if you ask it some weird obscure question and it's right, and it doesn't have to go look it up,
Yeah,
it's an AI.
no, absolutely right. So yeah, I think that's probably the key thing. So for us, it's getting more people to be onboarded. They can join our testnet. It's testnet.humanity.org, getting people to be familiar with what we're doing on our website humanity.org, and being part of the journey, right? I mean, it's still early, and I think AI is still early, but there are a lot of problems and risks to for us to get in front of.
You bet. There was some fun talk in the AI communities where, how there's like this place in like the Arctic where they hide all like a couple of every seed, so in case the world goes to hell in handbasket, we have at least one of every seed. Someone was joking around saying we should be doing that with all human works, just tagging all actual human works that haven't been touched by AI prior to AI taking over everything.
No,
So
no, no. I absolutely agree, right? Like at this point, pretty much most pieces of content I mean, I right now, I am not a deep fake. I am saying whatever the hell I want to say, and
Yes.
so it's still call it original content. Very, very soon, I think that's gonna go away. Like, unfortunately,
I'm already a victim of it myself, right? Like, I mean, just to keep up with all the social media, I'm a marketing guy by trade, right? So, I've been feeding the LLM a bunch of my writing and a bunch of my stuff, and when it writes a script, it sounds like me. Like, it even swears like me. Like, it's almost creepy, right? It's like, oh my god, that's exactly where I would say, that word. I'm like, holy cow, right? And it's still, like you said, it's still early days, but just throwing that into like an 11 labs, and you wouldn't know it wasn't me anymore. So that's crazy, right? Like, just a little while ago, we were still using what sound and voice structure for, like, security, and now that's just been blown through like, a wet paper
all
rag.
gone,
It's
all
gone.
completely
It's
all
just
gone.
destroyed, and all the places that used to back like voice backed security, and they're all toast. And yeah.
I mean, I'll give you a stat, right? Like captchas, you
Mhm.
know, if you actually give a bot a captcha, they can actually solve it to like a 99% accuracy level, whereas
Right.
humans can only do it at 85%. Right. So all of this
Oh,
stuff in terms of like, every single website you go on to, every Discord channel, every sort of thing where it's like asking you to verify that you're a human by clicking on traffic lights, solving, math equations and all that sort of shit.
no, yeah.
Um, it's
That's
it's it's
going.
it's completely moot.
Well, they were building all these things to be able to start beating those things, just to do, normal spamming techniques, right? So not let alone breaking into things. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting how the captures no longer work, and how the puzzle pieces no longer work.
No,
I
absolutely.
think actually a couple of times with the new ones, where the slider puzzles, if I do it too quickly, it actually thinks I'm an AI, right? Like, because if I get like a 99 or
And
100%.
no, and then I was talking to some researchers that are focused on developing this sort of stuff, right? And because I actually now have started building a team that focuses on cracking these things just to
Hmm,
understand how they sort of
they work.
think. And they randomize it, right?
Hmm.
Like, because a computer's too perfect, then make it imperfect, right?
Yeah.
And so like it's becoming harder and harder.
I don't know if you've been keeping attention to some of the capture stuff. Capture changed a bunch of their things where they actually grab the mouse movement now. It just, like, prior to anyone typing in anything, it's just the mouse movement,
Oh yeah,
dragging your mouse
absolutely.
from the
Yeah,
cursor to
absolutely. Right. Like they
the
want to see sort of
perfect
your
line.
dragging history, all that sort of stuff. Yes. But I
Yeah,
can tell
that's
you to simulate that or to simulate a person again is
it's pretty
pretty
easy.
easy.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So interesting. Well, that's definitely, you have your work cut out for you, right? Humanity Protocol has got to
No,
figure
we
out.
think it's a big problem. We think it's a big problem. We think it's worth from our perspective, it's worth a lot to a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. So fantastic. So really cool project, man. That's a doozy of a problem to solve.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on show. Any words of wisdom, any parting words of wisdom you want to give the people?
No, I mean, as I mentioned, right? Like, do follow us, do join our testnet. The website is humanity.org. The testnet is testnet.humanity.org. We have a lot of people excited about this thing. And we'll be rolling out hardware devices, partnering with different sort of entities for credential issuances, et cetera, over the coming weeks, months, whatnot. So everybody's just super excited and busy building.
Well, I for one am excited to see the rollout. This ought to be really cool. I'm curious to see what new parameters define humanity moving forward.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Lyra.